everyone, and welcome to another Homeschool Live. My name is Christine, and joining me today, we have Emily Morrow. So thanks for joining us, Emily.
Thanks for having me,
And
Christine.
we're so glad you're here. We're very excited because many of you who are listening right now may have heard about Emily, and I was excited to receive her new book here. Really very crunchy. So before we dive in to this, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are for those of us who need to know who you are.
I am a homeschooling mom of two. I'm the co-creator of Really Very Crunchy on social media. I say co-creator because my husband is a huge part of the videos. I am often called the crunchy mom, and I would say that is what my character definitely is, like the ultimate crunchy mom. But me in my real life, I'm aspiring to be that. But yeah, I'm just a comedy content creator who's trying to live the healthiest life I can and do the best for my family that I can do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, and I love, we were chatting a bit before coming live, and she just has this passion to just be real. And I love that too. And so we all should aspire to just be real, one with ourselves and with our children, because they need to see that, right? And so why don't you tell us what inspired you to write? Or maybe first tell us about what crunchy means, and then we'll kind of go into how that morphed into this book that we have.
Yeah. So crunchy comes from back in the day, like the more hippy dippy type of person would make their own granola. And if you've had granola, you know that it is very crunchy. And so I think the term just sort of morphed from the type of person who would make their own granola to this. Now it's sort of an umbrella term that covers any type of person who's interested in living a more natural lifestyle. So people who like to spend a lot of time outside, people who like to raise their own food, have a garden. It's not just one thing anymore. There's a huge group of people. And in my book, I talk about how crunchy is a spectrum, and most people are on the spectrum somewhere, on the crunchy spectrum, whether it's that you like to make your own bread, or maybe you enjoy walking outside barefoot. Like that puts you on the crunchy spectrum. The opposite of crunchy is silky. So it's someone who is maybe more interested in whatever's the most convenient. What I say is a silky mom is like the pumpkin spice latte, scented candles, go with the flow. Not a bad thing, just different than what the crunchy mom is. So, I created this platform because my husband saw me trying to pursue the holistic lifestyle. And in doing so, it was very different from the life that I had grown up living and the life I was living. I was definitely on the pumpkin spice latte train. I would definitely say I was a silky mom. But so my husband was like, you are acting crazy all the time. Like you're kind of frantic, and what's going on with you? So he thought I was just really funny in my pursuits. And so he was like, we should start this channel that sort of makes fun of you, because it is hilarious. And I think other people would think it's funny too. So that's kind of where it came from. And then, so the whole channel was really just supposed to be a comedy channel. I didn't intend for it to be educational at all, but in making fun of myself, I would state things that people had never heard before. I'm trying to think of something. I don't know, like tap water has contaminants, or like you might not be filtering out lead when you use your refrigerator water filter. Just something little like that. People are like, what? I didn't even know that. I thought that was enough. So I started getting all these messages constantly hundreds of messages like, can you tell me more about this? How do I start researching this? How can I be a crunchy mom? I've never even thought about questioning what's in my food. So this book was sort of just born out of the need for information. People just kept coming to me for information. And then I had a literary agent approach me and he was like, hey, do you think you could write a book? I said, sure, why not? I can give it a go. And so when he pitched the idea to several different publishers, I got 4 different offers. And so it felt like there must be a need for this, So that's kind of where it came from. It's definitely a beginner's guide. It's in the title, A Beginner's Guide to Removing Toxins from Your Life Without Adding Them to Your Personality, because in my pursuit of the more holistic life, so many times I had run-ins with moms who seemed to be doing better than I was, and they let me know that I need to know better, do better. I wasn't quite doing enough. And so coming off of that time of feeling like a failure and inadequate, I think that really helped me up the comedy factor because I've just been embarrassed so many times. So yeah, that's kind of where the book came from, and it talks about that. And then I just go through easy, accessible things you can do to make your life a little healthier.
I love that. I love the comedy part of it because it's true. And I mean, I know for myself, I'm always looking for something to laugh at or laugh with someone because I mean, just in my personal life has just been so difficult, and you're just trying to stay afloat some days. Just you're homeschooling, you're working, and then life, right? You've got to. Life is just so busy, and so it gets stressful sometimes, and it gets frustrating, and then you get those moments where you realized, oh, you totally messed up this part, or you messed up here, and oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But there is that side of it, of finding the positive things, finding the fact that realizing first that we're not perfect, we can never be perfect, but we will strive to. But in those moments where we feel like failures, like, you know what, we're not the only ones. And so this is I think where you really shine, because you say that out loud. Hey, I'm not perfect. Look at me making mistakes. I'm probably making the same mistakes you are. And that makes someone like me feel so much better about it. And then I'm more inclined to listen to what you have to say, when you throw in those little tidbits of important information, like the tap water and like the filters and all of that stuff. And then you're like, oh, so then all of a sudden you're my friend now that I can relate to, and you're helping me. And this is what we need. We need a supportive community, and that's what you've created with Really Very Crunchy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, sometimes when people watch my videos, they can't really tell where the line of reality is. And I think that makes the videos more entertaining, really. People are like, is this true or is it satire? And I'm like, yeah, kind of both. It is, like some of it's true, but who I am in the videos is definitely amped up, and I'm not the judgmental character or the judgmental side of my character, because that really just makes the videos funnier, And I think people think that the pursuit of crunchy is the pursuit of perfection, but it's just not possible. Like you were saying, you just can't be perfect. There are always going to be compromises, especially if you want to enjoy your life. At all. You could make it really difficult. But it's really just about trying the best you can where you are and making choices in every situation that you think is the best. And that doesn't always mean it's perfect. Yeah.
And so our audience is obviously homeschooling, a homeschooling audience. And so can you tell us how this book, your book, is going to be helpful for homeschoolers in particular. And I know, like, as you were talking, you were sharing, I could hear like ding, 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 like, doing things healthier, doing things, to be more self-sufficient, all of those kinds of things. So I'm like, this book is really good. So tell us, and maybe a few tips that would encourage our readers, our listeners,
Sure.
to grab your book.
Well, first, as home educators, we have such an opportunity to make healthier choices than people who don't have the opportunity to do that, or at least maybe a little bit of an easier time doing that, because control means ease. And whenever you have your kids at home, you're obviously in control. I'm not saying it's easy. It's just easier to control the choices made.
Sure.
It's definitely not easier. But as I sometimes think about, if I had to work outside the home, or if I had to send my kids to school, what choices would I have to let go of? And there are really quite a few. Definitely one thing that I push in my book so much is the importance of getting outside. It is so healthy for you. I mean, it is good for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Every aspect of your body, getting outside is good for. And I think about, I'm a huge fan of the 1,000 hours outside challenge. Have you ever done that, or tried, or
Please
heard of it?
tell us a little bit more.
So the creator is Jenny Urich. She noticed, I think she read an article or something that said kids are spending an average of 1,200 hours on screens per year. And so her idea was, let's replace screen time with green time. And I love that. And so I latched onto that, and that has just been huge for me and my family. And I think that is a lofty goal, 1,000 hours outside. I mean, you have to spend like 3 or 4 hours outside every single day. And sometimes the weather isn't really conducive, but that's a whole nother thing. Like, people say there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing, So I kind of fall in line with that too. But if you send your kids to school, like, as a home educator, you have the opportunity to actually fulfill that. I don't know that people who are working outside the home, or kids going to school, I'm not sure that's not totally realistic, I don't think. So as a homeschooling mom, I really appreciate that opportunity, and I definitely promote that in my book. Getting outside, so important. Another one that goes hand in hand with that is the ability to control screen time. So I try my best to resist screens pretty much in every case. I mean, sometimes we do use them. We have a family movie night on Friday nights, so that's when my kids get their fix, because I don't want them to go through life feeling like they've been, like, kept from. Yeah, exactly. So, but I know, just from speaking to other moms in my area, there's like this afternoon slump that happens when you're homeschooling. And so if you can resist screen time and give your kids the opportunity to engage in imaginative play, which obviously it's going to change as kids get older, what their interests are. My kids are 3 and 6. So how old? You have 2 boys, right?
I have 2 boys. They're 11 and 7 right now.
Okay. So they could still play. Does the 11-year-old still? Yeah. I've heard so much about how important it is for kids to play. Just like being outside. It's good for their physical, emotional, cognitive strength. So many things are improved whenever they are engaging in play, that screens aren't necessarily hurting them all the time, but they are inhibiting that play. They're just kind of vegging out instead of using their imagination, their creativity, coming up with something to do. So in my book, I talk about creating nourishing habits just getting into things that will satisfy your soul and your well-being more than just passive entertainment. So like getting into hobbies, reading books, baking bread, learning how to forage. There are just so many amazing opportunities out there that don't involve screens.
Yep.
But I'm just as guilty in the evenings. I have a loom that my husband bought me 2 years ago for Christmas because I wanted to learn to weave. And it is just stuck upstairs under the bed because I'm too scared to figure out how to get the yarn, like how to set it up and everything. And then like I'll spend 45 minutes on my phone scrolling after the kids have gone to bed. And I'm like, I probably could have woven a part of a tea towel, like it is tricky. But I think we have to try to teach our kids nourishing habits so that they don't then just become passive when they're adults, just passive consumers, not creators. Another tip I talk about is, well, this kind of goes with nourishing habits, setting yourself up for success and this is something that I suppose even if you weren't a home educator, you could do, but it really, really sets your day, sets the tone for your day. For me, is preparing nourishing foods the day before. So I know from my experience, when my kids eat good food, they are just better behaved because I guess they're getting their vitamins and minerals and nutrients and everything just falls in line. And it just seems like our days go so much smoother. And it can be so tempting to just reach for something easy, processed, maybe sugary, kind of sets the day off, in a bad way. But whenever I take the time the night before to prepare a nourishing meal, like I'll cook breakfast at night and then it will be ready to serve in the morning. Like I'll make a quiche and then you can just stick that in the oven and heat it up. And then we have fewer dishes, which makes my home feel less chaotic. Get started on school earlier because I'm not worried about cleaning up the mess that I made from breakfast, and then for lunches, we just eat whatever we had for dinner the night before. So I feel like, whenever you set up these nourishing habits, it just makes your day go smoother instead of scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to eat, deciding like let's just have some crackers or whatever. And we all know that kids, when they're hungry too, when you eat a lot of carbs, maybe things that aren't totally satiating, they're less apt to listen. My kids anyway. I'm like,
mine get hangry.
They get hangry. I do too.
Yeah. So and then the best when they get those sugary stuff because it's the quick thing, it doesn't help because then they crash and then they're miserable. So I totally get it, and like I'm making notes in my head. I'm like, I need to start doing this too because
making breakfast the night before is like one of my greatest life hacks. It sounds so weird, but that has totally helped our mornings go so much smoother. So definitely, I mean, I talk about all of those things in my book. And like we were talking about earlier, just trying to figure out how to infuse your days with laughter, have fun with your kids. For my kids, whenever I can like find that sweet spot of where I can make them laugh, then they're more receptive to what I have to say. And so that's one reason I use a curriculum or a few different programs, I guess, that are play-based because it's easier for me to have fun with them in that. And so as a home educator, there's just so many opportunities to make healthier choices for your family. It's really a privilege and a great opportunity that I don't know that people realize when they're choosing homeschooling, that they're also choosing an opportunity to make healthier choices.
Well, and that's it too. Like there's so many stereotypes of what homeschoolers look like, and we're not just mimicking public school at home. We're not just, it's not just English, math, science, and then your day is done. It's character development. It's, yeah, exactly what you said, healthy life choices, smart choices, because you have the time to walk with them and show them, you're setting the example and they're seeing this. They're not just doing what everybody else does,
Mm-hmm.
because, oh my goodness, so scary to do what everybody else does. You have to know, and you're showing your children that this is important. This living healthy is important, and this
Mm-hmm.
is what we're going to work on every single day, just as important as the English and the math and the science and the history and all of those subjects too. But we're also working on our minds, on our souls, and our hearts,
Mm-hmm.
and making good decisions because of that. Because we're doing this as a family. You're not on your own. We're all doing this together as a family, and that's what makes it so um, easier. And again, never easy.
Yeah.
There are challenges, but it is so much easier because you have the support of your family and you're doing it together. You're making these decisions together, and you probably talk to your kids about, okay, what would you like for breakfast, and
Mm-hmm.
what else can we make for breakfast, and you get them involved in the process, and so they're now thinking and making those choices from early on, so that when they're old enough, they'll be, oh yeah, they don't even have to think about it. They're going to make those healthy choices without having to think about it, because they just know that's what I do because I want to take care of myself.
And your kids, once you start doing those things, will hold you accountable. I can't
Yes.
remember what I was doing the other day. I can't remember, but my 3-year-old came up to me and he was like, "What are you, a silky mom?" And
Oh,
it was so
that's
funny.
hilarious.
And then another thing, I started doing a little exercise program, and I had like a chart on my refrigerator, and I was checking off, every day that I did follow the program. And I did really great for like a week. And then it kind of halted. And my 6-year-old was like, "Mom, why aren't you working out? You need to get a check. Like, what's going on, Mom?" So there's definitely accountability there when you include your kids in those healthy
Yep.
choices. And they love to get in there with me and uh, use the little weights and the little sliders on the floor, So, yeah, it's really cool to see them own it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that we're wanting to work on too, is more of the physical uh, education. And
Mhm.
because my 11-year-old is, conscious now of how he looks, and so he wants to, buff up a little bit and eat healthier, and so I have to jump on this, right, because
Mhm.
while they're interested in it, and so we're working on getting, maybe some exercise into the day. He's already tried to grab my weights, but I'm like, hold on, we have to teach you how to do it properly. um, but yeah,
So
it's exciting.
11, they're interested in that at 11?
I
That
know.
feels
Right?
just around the corner for me.
I know. I know. I thought I had like maybe four more years, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like fixing the hair and everything. What is happening right now? You're only 11. But he does hang around a lot of older teenagers as well, and so he's watching and he's taking
Mhm.
notes. And so he wants to build up to that. So I'm like, okay, well, we have to make sure we do it properly. We're not trying to do this for the wrong reasons. We want to make the overall thing is that we're healthy and that we're taking care of ourselves. So, and then the
That's
younger
one
one just wants to do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one really cool part about homeschooling is that, whenever a kid goes to public school, they're sort of then like segregated into their age group, and
Yeah.
they don't really have the ability to interact with all the different ages. And I see it in I have a little Forest Friends on Friday group. We go hiking together. My son will encourage the younger ones, to keep going. Just all the ages getting to interact with each other. I think there's a lot of relational skill building that happens there that doesn't really get to happen in a public school.
Agreed. So this is so wonderful that all of this is in here. Do you have one piece of advice for homeschooling parents out there to help them on their journey?
I would say for me, just showing up. Like, just show up every day. It is so easy to let it slip through the cracks, schooling. Just make it a priority and show up with a good attitude. Learn to take deep breaths.
Yes, it's important.
Yes, learn to breathe and have a positive attitude. I think that it really does affect our kids' learning. When they see that you're excited about learning, then they'll be more excited about it too. So definitely have that positive attitude and show up. Just do it.
Yeah,
It'll be great.
and it's important to be positive, and personal experience, sometimes it's hard to show up
Mhm.
and be positive, but just to always remind yourself that they're relying on you, they're leaning on you, and you set the tone for the day. So make sure you have that healthy breakfast, you're
Mhm.
eating, and you're fueling yourself for the day, and that's going to encourage them to do the same.
I just thought of one more. Can I say it?
Yeah,
Am I allowed to have two?
yeah, you sure.
One thing that has so helped me is leaving my phone away from our
Yeah,
schooling area. It is so tempting whenever I get a notification. I mean, it could be something like Zillow. I don't need to be looking at houses right now, but man, that looks really tempting to just pick it up really quick. He's doing some
yeah,
little math problems. My kid has gotten on to me. He'll be like, "Mom, focus." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I need to focus for sure. You need to focus too. What am I doing?" So just leaving your phone and being present and looking your kids like in the eyeballs,
yeah,
that is so, so important and so helpful. It helps you with your positive attitude because for me,
yes,
if I am distracted by my phone, then I feel annoyed by my kid
yes,
needing me. But
yes.
like,
Yeah.
what's the point then?
I've started conveniently forgetting where I leave my phone.
Mhm.
So somebody may want something, or I need to change an app or setting or something like that. Mom, where's your phone? Where's your phone? I'm like, I don't know. I left it somewhere. And then it's not a distraction, because my phone can be a distraction for everybody else, because my phone
Mhm.
controls a lot of stuff in the house. So I conveniently started doing that, just leaving it in a room somewhere. I know where it is, but okay, nope, that's going to stay there.
Yeah.
I will deal with my emails when school is done. And
Mhm.
so, and it's hard. Sometimes I do, like, I have deadlines, and we do try to do homeschooling all together. So I like to work in the same room that they are. So okay, you do your stuff, but I'm right here. So
Mhm.
I'm not removed. And if you need me, I'm here. I'm here. But for the most part, I do try to. Okay, I can work later.
Mhm.
So very good advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up our talk for today, but tell us where people can find out more about what you offer, where they can find you, all of that good stuff, because you are a gem, and people need to be listening and following you and learning more about being very crunchy.
Well, thank you. Um, yeah, just search Really Very Crunchy. If you're interested in seeing comedy videos about being a crunchy mom, then you can search Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, any of the social media platforms. Just search Really Very Crunchy. And then for the book, yes, I think you have a link as well. You're sharing
Yeah.
that? But
So the link is on the screen, and we're gonna put it in the comments for you.
okay. But if you are going to click the link, you can also just search any book retailer, Really Very Crunchy. Same name. Makes it easy. If you like shopping on Amazon, it's there. Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target.com, all of them. Just, yeah, really very crunchy. That's it.
It's great. And thank you for writing it. And thank you for sharing your joys, your life, your ups and downs with all of us. And I have been blessed just getting to know you today. And so I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same. And so thank you for encouraging us. And thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
All right. We will see you again for another Homeschool Live. Take care for now.